What if I told you that a single car forced the entire automotive industry to rethink what speed really meant? Due to the tire's inability to withstand its ferocity at full speed, the car's power had to be restricted. The Bugatti Veyron is more than simply a car, and we're unveiling the machine that permanently changed the laws of performance today. The Bugatti Veyron is this: a reverently whispered name, a presence that makes hypercars cringe. The Veyron was designed to show that the impossible could be parked in a billionaire's garage. It was built by Bugatti, owned by Volkswagen, and meticulously built. Today, you're going to see why this machine didn't just break records, but also exceeded expectations. Let's get started. The engine that changed everything. A V8 or even a V12 wasn't enough for the Bugatti Veyron. With a W16, it went all in. It had 16 cylinders, 4 turbochargers, and such extreme engineering that it crushed the rules rather than following it. The initial version of this, the engine produced 1,001 horsepower. Subsequent models, like as the Supersport, increased that to an incredible 1,200. It was more than simply a performance standard. It served as a warning to all other car manufacturers. Why is it considered legendary? It goes beyond the statistics. It's what gives those figures life. In approximately 2.5 seconds, the Veyron can accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour. However, it just scratches the surface. Its maximum speed? A confirmed 253 miles per hour. Michelin had to create unique tires merely to endure the force since it moves so quickly. The car burns through fuel so quickly at full power that the tank runs out of gas in about 12 minutes. It's brutal, unrelenting, and well-controlled. The catch is that it's also sophisticated. The inside of this car isn't harsh or noisy. In order to create a hypercar that could glide through city traffic without overheating or breaking down, engineers struck a compromise between astounding speed and daily drivability. In the context of giving performances, it is almost unheard of. Design. The Bugatti Veyron doesn't rely on wild styling or flashy tricks to get noticed. It doesn't have to. Its design, which is ruthlessly efficient, clear, and focused, exudes authority. Performance is the only motive for each curve, intake, and line. Wrapped in carbon fiber and aluminum, this car seems to be fast because it is. Begin from the front. The iconic horseshoe grille serves as a practical air inlet for a 1,000 horsepower beast, in addition to being a cosmetic element. Huge vents that would not seem out of place on a racing car surround the flanks to cool the radiators. The body is planted, broad, and low. It has a presence that draws attention and stops people from talking as it hugs the pavement. The true ability, however, is concealed in motion. The Veyron changes at high speeds. At more than 200 miles per hour, an active rear wing deploys to provide downforce and maintain the car's stability. When you apply pressure to the brakes, that wing turns into an air brake, which stands straight up and slows the car with startling power. Its aerodynamics were designed for war. Even the underbody, which controlled airflow beneath for optimal grip, was shaped like an F1 car. Nothing was left up to chance. Beauty was not the goal of this design. Physics was being pursued. The outcome? A car that seems swift while at rest and very calm when in motion. This design continues inside. The combination of leather, aluminum, and carbon fiber makes the cockpit seem luxurious and focused. No touchscreens, no distractions. The speedometer, tachometer, and a badge that identifies it as Bugatti are the only necessary elements. Attention is not the goal of this design. It is designed to produce results. And when form and function come together so well, the end product is a machine that seems invincible even when it is still. Engineering cost. Budgeting was not the goal when building the Bugatti Veyron. It was about pushing boundaries at whatever cost. This initiative was undertaken by Volkswagen Group with full knowledge that it would not be viable. They lost millions of dollars on each and every car that was sold. However, the goal was never to make money. Making history was the goal. The purchase price of each Veyron was more than $1.7 million, but the manufacturing expenses were far higher. According to reports, Bugatti initially spent more than $5 million on building a single unit. Modern facilities, specially designed parts, and a group of highly skilled engineers operating with military-level accuracy are all part of it. This was not a car put together on a typical assembly line. This was a self-made obsession. The tires alone must be changed every few thousand miles by specialized experts who are brought in just for the job, and they cost more than $30,000. Do you also want new wheels? That is an additional $120,000. It doesn't end there. The cost of replacing the transmission is more than $100,000. The brakes? A minimum of $50,000 more is required. Even the regular maintenance on this car might cost 6 digits. But there was a reason for every dollar spent. The carbon fiber monocoque has to be robust enough to withstand speeds of more than 250 miles per hour. Heat levels comparable to those of a fighter aircraft have to be managed by the cooling system. Every panel, bolt, and substance was designed to withstand circumstances that very few roadworthy cars ever encounter. This has nothing to do with flaunting money. This was done to demonstrate what occurs when there is no limit to invention, when engineers are instructed to shatter records rather than make concessions. There were other costs associated with the Veyron. It was technical, artistic, and intimate. It demonstrated that sometimes the most useful cars aren't simply costly. They're also invaluable tests of human potential. Driving experience. Being behind the wheel of a Bugatti Veyron is an awakening, not just a moment. Something changes as soon as the engine starts. The world disappears, the cabin becomes silent, and all that's left is a sense of complete control encased in ultimate luxury. This isn't a speed-driven racing car. It's a huge tourer with unrelenting power. Everything seems purposeful as you slide into the driver's seat. Rich materials are used, including authentic aluminum, hand-stitched leather, and carbon fiber where it counts. The seats support you rather than crush you. It is more akin to entering a private jet than a rocket ship. But you know, it turns into both with a single throttle touch. There is no jerking in the Veyron. It doesn't roar to scare people. You hardly notice it until you look at the speedometer and see that you've quadrupled the legal limit in a matter of seconds, since it gains speed so smoothly and swiftly. There isn't any delay or hesitancy. Just smooth, unadulterated acceleration that lasts well beyond the point at which most cars stop. The fact that it is comfy, however, is where it shines. It is safe to drive in traffic. You can travel at 30 miles per hour without experiencing any drama or heat problems. Visibility remains unaffected, the suspension may be adjusted for comfort, and the steering is light when necessary. It seems calm, easy, and even composed. Unless you request more. And it delivers like nothing else when you do. The corners are crisp and close together. Braking is like reversing gravity. Acceleration is always just right, never too much. It does not attempt to resist you. It seeks to elevate you beyond your current level of driving proficiency. The Veyron's ultimate trick is this. It's more than simply fast. It's perfect. It's not only designed, it's lived, one remarkable mile at a time. Legacy. How the Veyron changed everything. In addition to breaking records, the Bugatti Veyron changed the perception of what was feasible for a car to be produced. 200 miles per hour was thought to be the top speed when it arrived. That number became a checkpoint after the Veyron. It changed the definition of hypercars, made rivals reevaluate everything, and established a new standard that is still in use today. Not only was this the very first car to reach 250 miles per hour, but it was also the first to do it in complete luxury. It seemed almost fantastical in the way it blended power, elegance, and technology. It ushered in a new era. Chiron would not exist without the Veyron. Not Koenigsegg 1. Not Hennessy Venom F5. It forced marketers and engineers everywhere to cease being cautious. It demonstrated that pushing limits was essential rather than risky. Nevertheless, the Veyron didn't depend on fads or tricks. No big screens, no eco mode, no artificial soundtrack. It was an ageless design wrapped in honest, unvarnished engineering. It advanced globally, which is what it accomplished better than anybody else. Silently, brutally, amazingly. Today, it remains a collector's dream, not just because of rarity or price, but because of what it represents. It was a moment in automotive history when limits were erased and imagination won. It showed that the gap between road car and race car could be closed, not with compromises, but with obsession. The Veyron still matters because it wasn't just fast. It was fearless. And in a world that often asks why, the Veyron stood up and said, "Why not?" That's not just a legacy. That's immortality on four wheels. The Bugatti Veyron wasn't just built, it was unleashed. A mechanical marvel that crushed every limitation. If you love power, precision, and pushing boundaries, this is the car that changed the world. Hit that like button if the Veyron blew your mind. Comment below with your dream hypercar. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.